Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we're going to learn about IELTS Writing Task 1. Our Task 1 is going to be based on a map question. Now, maps sometimes show up in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, and when they do, you'll always see two maps. Often one map is in the past while the other one is in the present. You'll also encounter scenarios where both maps are in the past. Now you might also get maps which show proposals for the future, such as a redevelopment scheme. Therefore, it is important to use the proper tenses to describe the changes. In this lesson, I'm going to explain to you exactly what aspects you need to make sure that you include in your map-related answer to score a high band. So I'm going to explain to you how I wrote body paragraph 3 and body paragraph 4. I'm going to explain to you what I included to get a band 9. Now remember, when it comes to IELTS Writing Task 1, you should write 150 words. And you should do that in 20 minutes. You normally get 1 hour to write your Task 1 and your Task 2. You should spend 20 minutes on your Task 1 and 40 minutes on your Task 2. In 20 minutes, you should write at least 150 words. You should not write less than 150 words, but you can write more than 150 words. But remember, don't make the essay too long because you've only got 20 minutes. If you make it too long, then you will not have time for writing your Task 2. Something else that is important to remember is your Task 1 should be in 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph is the introduction, and the second paragraph is the overview. In the previous video, I taught you how to write the introduction and the overview of this particular writing Task 1 map question. So if you want to have the complete essay, then please watch the video that I uploaded before this one so that you have the complete essay. Now, once you receive your Task 1, the most important thing, first of all, to do is to read the question. The diagrams on the right show Paradise Island in 1980 and 2020. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. So you need to look at the two maps on the right. In 1980, you can see what Paradise Island looked like. It was very natural. And in 2020, it has changed a lot. You can see that it is more developed. For example, in the first diagram, there's only one building, and that is the Scientific Research Station. The rest of the things that are there are natural. You have the beach, you have the sea, you have rocks, but you also have a boat and a pier, and a few trees, and also you do have a natural spring. But in 2020, that is 40 years after that, you can see that the island has been developed a lot. There are a lot more buildings, there are a lot more facilities and amenities, and you can see that instead of a boat, you have a cruise ship. You can see that the pier has changed. where the scientific research station was, now you have a hotel complex, a swimming pool, and where the trees were, you have an open restaurant and a barbecue area. You also have a psychopath and a scenic lookout point. Now, the rocks have remained the same. The sea is obviously still the same. So once you have looked at the two diagrams and kind of in general identified the main features that are different, the next thing that you need to do is to begin writing your introduction, and then you write your overview. And after that, you write body paragraph 3 and body paragraph 4. Now, what should you put in body paragraph 3? Body paragraph 3 should be based on the first diagram, and that is Paradise Island in 1980. What you need to do is identify and describe all the key features in Paradise Island in 1980. So body paragraph 3 should be based on the first diagram that you have. The next thing that you need to do is begin writing. Now, in 1980, Paradise Island was unspoiled, containing almost entirely of natural endowments, such as rocks, a natural spring, the sea, and a beach. The only building on the whole island was a scientific research station. So what I have done in body paragraph 3 is I have identified the main features in Paradise Island in 1980. I have pointed out that Paradise Island was unspoiled. Unspoiled means that it was not developed at all. It was still in its natural state, containing almost entirely of natural endowments. Natural endowments are natural resources. For example, rocks are natural springs. All of these are natural resources. The sea, the beach. The other feature that is very important that we need to talk about in regards to Paradise Island in 1980 is the fact that there is only one building, and that is the Scientific Research Station. So in body paragraph 3, we are describing what the island was like in 1980. And because of that, we are using the past tense. Remember, it is extremely important that you use the correct tense when you're writing your essay based on a map question. In body paragraph 3, because we are talking about what the island looked like in 1980, we have to use the past tense. Now, you can see the words in green. Paradise Island was unspoiled because that is the past tense. It was unspoiled, meaning that it was not touched or developed in any shape or form. And then you notice the last sentence, the only building on the whole island was. Again, I use the past tense. Very important that you use the past tense when you're describing the key features or the main features in regards to Paradise Island in 1980. After you have identified the main features in body paragraph 3 in regards to Paradise Island in 1980, then you move on to body paragraph 4. Body paragraph 4 is based on the second map, and that is Paradise Island in 2020. Now, in body paragraph 4, you are expected to compare and contrast Paradise Island in 1980 and 2020. Remember, the question says, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features. So you need to select and report about the main features, which we have done in body paragraph 3 in regards to Paradise Island in 1980. And in body paragraph 4, we are going to identify and report about the main features of Paradise Island in 2020, but we are also going to make comparisons. To make comparisons means that you need to contrast. You need to talk about what the island looked like in 1980 and what it looked like in 2020. What are the differences? Those are the comparisons. What are the differences? What did the island look like in 1980 compared to 2020? Okay? Or rather, what the island looked like in 2020 compared to 1980. So body paragraph 4, first we are going to report about the main features, and secondly we are going to compare. We are going to identify the differences between the islands. Now let's begin. On the contrary, so you see, immediately I'm using a linking word of contrast to show that I am comparing Paradise Island in 1980 and 2020. So on the contrary, the island had developed substantially by 2020. The island had developed. Take note of the tense that I am using. I am using the past perfect tense. On the contrary, the island had developed substantially by 2020. The scientific research station to the northwest of the island had been replaced by a hotel complex and a swimming pool. In the opening sentence, that is, on the contrary, the island had developed substantially by 2020. I told the examiner that the island had changed, it had developed. So in the rest of the paragraph, I need to show how it had developed. And the first form of development is that the scientific research station. Where is the scientific research station? It is to the northwest of the island, had been replaced. So you need to use words to show direction. Very, very important. To the northwest of the island. If you look at the northwest of the island, you see the scientific research station. That station in 1980, you don't see it in 2020. And that is because it had been replaced by a hotel complex and a swimming pool. Where the scientific research station was, if you look at the map of the island in 2020, you don't see it anymore. Instead, you see a swimming pool and a hotel complex. Now, that's not the only difference. Along with that, I use another form of linking word. Along with that simply means in addition to that. In addition to that, an open restaurant, a cafe, and a barbecue area had been built in the middle and to the east of the island, where a few trees had stood back in 1980. So, if you look at Paradise Island in 2020, if you look at the middle, you have an open restaurant. You have a barbecue area, and if you look at the east of the island, where the trees were before in 1980, you now have a cafe. Now, to cater for tourists who visited the island, the boat had been gotten rid of. So, because you can see there is a cruise ship, that gives us an indication that in 2020, the island became popular with tourists. And to cater for tourists who visited the island, the boat that was there in 1980 was replaced. It had been gotten rid of. It was removed. It was replaced. That is substituted. Substituted means replaced with a cruise ship. So they got rid of, that is, they removed the boat, and now they have a cruise ship. Another difference, in addition to that, see, I use more linking words to show that I am still talking about other differences between the island in 2020 and 1980. In addition to that, a psychopath had also been constructed. Now, if you look at Paradise Island in 2020, you can see they have a psychopath in the island. That was not there in 1980. So, a psychopath had also been constructed. Constructed means that has been built. But that's not all, as well as a more elaborate pier. Now, if you look at the pier, you notice that the pier looks more elaborate. It's like they put an extension. So the pier has also changed. And also you have a scenic lookout point. So you can stand there and look at the scenery. So in 2020, you have a psychopath. You also have a scenic lookout. And the pier is more elaborate. Nevertheless, so I'm now talking about the similarities, because of that particular linking word that I have introduced shows that I am now going to talk about the similarities between the islands in 1980 and 2020. Because in the previous paragraph, the whole of the paragraph 4, so far I have been talking about the differences. And in IELTS question, they ask me to make comparisons. So identify the differences and similarities. So, nevertheless, Paradise Island had retained some of its original features. So, Paradise Island had retained. Had retained means it had kept some of its original features, namely the natural spring. So if you look at Paradise Island in 1980, you can see that the natural spring is still there in 2020. Also, the rocks are still there, and the beach is still there. So those original features of Paradise Island in 1980, they are still there in 2020. So what have I done? I based the whole of paragraph 3 on the first map, that is Paradise Island in 1980. And I based the whole of body paragraph 4 on what Paradise Island looked like in 2020. However, in body paragraph 3, I just identified the key main features of Paradise Island in 1980. But in body paragraph 4, I compared the two islands. What did I do? I identified the similarities and the differences. The next thing that is very important that I did in this particular essay is that in the body paragraph 3, I used the past tense. As you can see, all the words in green are supposed to help you to identify the tense. In body paragraph 3, I used the past tense. But in body paragraph 4, I used the past perfect tense. Had developed, had been replaced, had been built, had stood, had been gotten rid of, had been constructed, had retained. Now, to retain is to keep the original features. Paradise Island had retained some of its original features. It had kept some of its original features. Some of its original features remained the same. They did not change. The next thing that I did in this essay is that I used linking words, but I used them very carefully to help me report the main features, but also to make comparisons. All the words that have underlined in pink are linking words that have helped me to be able to identify the main features of the two diagrams, but also to help me to compare and contrast them. That is, talk about the differences and the similarities between the two islands in 1980 and 2020. So there you go. That's how you're supposed to answer this question if you want to score a band 9. I have given you some tips that should help you if you get a map question in your task 1 to know exactly what things you need to include. Remember, what you should write your body paragraph 3 about is the first map. Remember to write body paragraph 3 in the past tense. And when it comes to body paragraph 4, remember to compare and contrast. Use linking words like I have used to help you to do that. Also remember to talk about the similarities between the two islands and the differences between the two islands. Okay? And remember, your task 1 should just be 4 paragraphs. That is the introduction, the overview paragraph, body paragraph 3, and body paragraph 4. Now, if you want to have the complete essay, as I said, have a look at the previous video because I uploaded how to write the introduction and the overview of this particular map question. Now, if you found this lesson helpful at all, then please give this video a thumbs up, share the video with somebody else so that you can also help them, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn your notification bell on so that you know when I upload another video. Also, don't forget to have a look at the links in the description box and the links in my pinned comment because I have other videos that are really going to help you with your IELTS speaking, part 1, part 2, and part 3. But I also have a playlist on IELTS listening tests and a lot of videos on grammar, videos on vocabulary, videos on pronunciation, but I also have videos that are going to help you speak English in different situations. So have a look at the links in the description box and the links in my pinned comment. Now, thank you very much, everyone, and I shall see you in our next lesson. Bye-bye and take care of yourself.